Good evening and welcome back to News 11. I'm Sam Falone.
And I'm Ethan Smith.
We have a lot of exciting stories to cover, so let's get started with your local news. Buffalo is on high alert this week preparing for the upcoming solar eclipse. The city is in the path of totality and is expecting thousands of visitors to view and celebrate the celestial event. Some people are taking their viewing to the water, and Buffalo's Special Operations Marine Unit is ready for anything. There will be officers with response teams all along the Niagara River to make sure everything is in order. They caution that as long as people have their life vests and everything is in order, all should be well. They urge boaters to be aware of the depth of the water this time of year and any potential dangers that come with it. But most importantly, they hope for people to just enjoy the eclipse right on the water.
The University of Buffalo is gearing up for the eclipse on April 8th by preparing to host a special eye clinic for those that may experience eye damage during the spectacle. Dr. James Reynolds, the head of the Department of Ophthalmology at UB, said that even though the sun will be covered by the moon, the rays are still powerful if someone were to look into the sun for too long. They would develop a blind spot in the middle of their vision. Dr. Reynolds continued that there is no safe margin of error to remove your eclipse glasses, even during full totality. The April 8th clinic will be held from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the UBMD Ophthalmology/Ross Eye Institute. Walk-ins are welcome, and for any eclipse-related eye injuries, call 716-881-7900.
The town of Tonawanda is discussing the possibility of making the local golf course shorter. The town is considering cutting 6 holes out of the course in order to make room for a potential single-family housing development. Many residents are against the idea, saying, quote, "I just don't like it," end quote. The town spokesperson said that Tonawanda doesn't have many larger homes, forcing families to move to Clarence or Amherst if they want a larger space. However, no plans have been made, and it could be a year before a significant decision is reached.
Holiday Valley and Ellicottville had their final major event of the season this past Easter weekend. Postponed from the previous weekend due to the weather, some 80 people took their plunge in the annual pond skimming event. They took down the Yodeler Slope in hopes of trying to ski or snowboard across the frigid water at the bottom. The resort plans to be closed this week, but weather permitting, it may reopen next weekend. Holiday Valley plans to make an announcement later in the week as well.
Ready Bike Share is looking to help out Buffalo's East Side residents get around in the eclipse traffic with more bikes and lower prices. Salmon Husted, the marketing and communications coordinator, told of the new bikes that are rolling out. As the weather gets better, their traditional bikes are hitting the streets and some electric bikes are coming with them. These bikes are slightly more expensive and also have a speed limit on them for the safety of the rider and those around them. After the activation fee, e-bikes are 25 cents per minute or 10 cents per minute with an annual pass. Traditional bikes are just 10 cents per minute or 1 cent per minute with an annual pass. BikeShare is offering a 95% off discount of the annual pass for East Side residents. The $40 pass will just be $3 in an effort to get more people cycling around.
The Niagara Falls SPCA is now offering an exciting way to take rescue dogs out on the town in hopes of helping get them adopted. Known as the Doggy Field Trip program, allows people to take dogs out of the shelter for the day to give them extra love and care and see if they are the right dog for them to adopt. The field trippers come with a backpack full of treats, a leash, water, and toys to have for the dog throughout the day, and even a bandana that says "Adopt Me" to let people know these pups are up for adoption. Tina Kennedy, a member of the SPCA's behavioral team, said about the program is that the main goal is to help get these pups adopted, but it also helps the dogs as they are able to get some special attention and time outside.
For the first time ever, the Pine Hill Fire Department welcomes a female chief. Jessica Calandra, a longtime volunteer firefighter, has been named the new fire chief. She has many new goals for the department, some of which include more training for the company's 27 members and adding more. Calandra began volunteering in 2013. Her mother is also a part of the company as the president, commissioner, and EMS captain.
National Grid is warning its customers about door-to-door solicitations. There have been reports of men going to people's homes in North Buffalo and Elmwood Village on Easter Sunday. National Grid is advising people that if a strange man comes to their doors, they should ask for an ID badge, as all National Grid employees carry identification. In addition, you should not provide them with any information about your account or personal data if they seem suspicious. You can also call National Guard to confirm their identity at 800-642-4572, and if you ever feel your safety is at risk, call 911.
Former NFL star cornerback Vontae Davis was found dead at the age of 35 in his South Florida mansion on Monday. Davis was a quarterback in the NFL for 9 years, most notably for the Indianapolis Colts, for which he was named 2 Pro Bowls in 2014 and 2015. He is famous for his unique nature of his retirement, retiring at the halftime of the second game of the 2018 season for the Buffalo Bills. The police investigation into his death is ongoing, but no foul play is suspected. Davis is survived by his older brother, former NFL tight end Vernon Davis, and his wife Megan Harp.
As the war continues in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, many Western New Yorkers are calling for a ceasefire. Last Saturday, more than 60 people took part in a day-long demonstration to help raise awareness. The pilgrimage began at 6:30 a.m. Saturday at Niagara Square in downtown Buffalo. Demonstrators then began a 25-mile journey to Prospect Point at Niagara Falls State Park. All donations gathered that day are going towards humanitarian relief in Gaza. Lackawanna resident Nora Berman said, quote, "It's for everyone. It's human life, Arab or non-Arab, human life, human injustices, they need to end quote." And when we return, we will have your national stories. We'll be right back.
To Sofia and Gabriel, Miss Flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
As we reported last week, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed when it was struck on March 26th by a cargo ship. Here's an update. The cargo ship was carrying 56 containers of hazardous materials. At the time of the collapse, there were 8 construction workers repairing the potholes on the bridge. Of the 8, 2 workers were rescued, 2 of the bodies were recovered, and the remaining 4 are presumed dead. Crews have paused search and rescue efforts and have now turned their focus to cleanup efforts. On Friday, equipment arrived to begin the massive cleanup and clear the channel to reopen the port of Baltimore. The U.S. Navy has supplied 4 heavy lift cranes to lift 3,000 to 4,000 tons of debris. The Unified Command is also working to reduce the pressure of the underwater pipeline that spans the width of the channel. They want to move the pipeline to prevent any hazards or risks. They are also patrolling the waters of the harbor for drift and debris that could be hazardous. The port is the 9th busiest in the United States, and currently all ship and vessel traffic has been suspended from in and out of the port, but remains open for trucks. Maryland lawmakers are drafting emergency legislation for income replacement and to assist thousands of Port Baltimore workers who were impacted by the disruption. The state of Maryland, the Unified Command, and President Biden are doing everything in their power to clean up the debris and open the bridge and the Port of Maryland as soon as possible as the economic impact grows every day.
On Monday, the Florida Supreme Court made the decision to ban abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, before many women even know they are pregnant, while giving voters a chance to remove these restrictions in upcoming election in November. The court ruled 6-1 to uphold the state's abortion ban after 15 weeks of pregnancy, which could soon include a ban on 6 weeks, but in a separate 4-3 ruling, the court allowed a ballot for voters to preserve abortion rights in Florida's Constitution. In the court's decision to add a vote on abortion rights could be pivotal in the presidential race, as congressional contests protests this year, as this could drive many abortion rights supporters to the polls. The 6-week ban does have expectations to its law involving cases of rape, incest, fetal abnormalities, as well as to save the mother's life. The Florida Access Network plan now is switching its strategy to find abortion care for women in Florida and paying for their travel expenses to go out of state. But for many, this still isn't an option, as some can't afford to travel or lose their job to travel for abortion care, which forces them to remain pregnant. The proposed constitutional amendment that will be on the November ballot says, quote, "No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider," end quote.
The Biden campaign has announced that they see Florida as a winnable state this fall. With Donald Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis having so much success in the state, many consider Florida to be strictly Republican. Biden's campaign has a plan to contrast the Republican Party's views on the topic of abortion. After the landslide re-election of DeSantis in 2022 and an 800,000 Republican voter lead, Florida has recently not been considered a swing state. With very strict abortion laws being passed in Florida, Biden is pushing even harder to protect reproduction rights in the southeast region of the United States. In a poll done by the University of North Florida, 62% of respondents said that they would vote to protect abortion if it were on the ballot. Biden is investing a large amount of time and resources into his campaign in Florida, with advertisements targeted towards the Hispanic population. Biden's team feels confident that their efforts are stronger and more marketable than Trump's, giving them a real chance to drive home the votes.
The city of Minneapolis has finally reached a settlement with the witness of the murder of George Floyd. The witness, Donald Williams II, watched as Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck. Williams was unable to help Floyd during the incident. Williams served as a key witness at Chauvin's trial, and Chauvin's attorney attempted to portray bystanders like Williams as a, quote, angry mob. Williams has testified that he remained on the scene even after Floyd was taken by paramedics and called 911 as he believed he had just witnessed a murder. Chauvin has been sentenced for 22.5 years after being found guilty of second and third degree murder, as well as second-degree manslaughter. He also pled guilty to violating Floyd's civil rights, being sentenced to 21 years on that count.
There has been a large data breach of AT&T, leaking millions of current and former customers' private information. Information such as social security numbers and passcodes were found in the dark web this weekend. AT&T has begun an investigation into the leak, and it is still unclear if it originated from the company or one of its vendors. Customers are being notified of the leak if the leak contained their information. It appears that financial information was remained secure and no data of the sort has been found. AT&T has dealt with data breaches before and has already reset customer passcodes. Experts suggest to protect your own data, use hard-to-guess passwords, dual authentication, and if you suspect any fraudulent activity with your account, contact the company directly.
The Southside Blooms floral shop with slogan "Flowers That Empower" isn't competing against other flower shops, but the draw of the streets. Owners Quillen and Hannah Blackwell run the Chicago Floral nonprofit, staffing it with at-risk youth and young adults in an effort to teach them people and job skills through farming, growing, and selling flowers. The shop, located in Englewood, Chicago, also opened an umbrella nonprofit to the flower shop known as Chicago Eco House, which focuses on sustainable urban agriculture to help teach and support more youth. The Blackwells opened Chicago Eco House a decade ago and Southside Blooms in 2020 to establish flower selling as an anchor industry by transforming abandoned vacant lots into flower farms to create long-term jobs for the community's youth. Southside Blooms design floral arrangements and centerpieces for local events, including weddings, and they can work on the off-grid farms or in the shop for as long as they want. So far, they have converted 5 vacant lots into solar-powered flower farms in Chicago, and they have about 35 members in their Southside Workforce Development Program between ages 16 and 25. And when we return, Jenna joins us for the first time with our sports update, and we'll have Hunter for your first look at weather. We'll be
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the sisterhood of women in tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
Every day, Every day,
millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other.
on a deeper level.
Father,
Cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
Let's go.
you'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
We're now joined by Jenna Polito, who will be giving us our weekly sports update. What's going on in sports, Jenna?
Thanks, Ethan. It's another tough week for Fredonia Athletics. This week, the baseball team played New Paltz and Brockport. In their first game against New Paltz, the Blue Devils fell 2-30 with an RBI from Max Kohler. In their second game against New Paltz, the Blue Devils rose up and won 5-3 with a home run and an RBI from Garrett Stuckey against the Hawks. In the third game against the Hawks, Fredonia lost 3-8, where runs from Stuckey, Firkins, and Rotmans. Later in the week, the Blue Devils traveled to Brockport to take on the Golden Eagles. In the first game against Brockport, the Blue Devils fell 2-12 with runs from Christian Pagano and Tyler Curtis. In the second game at Brockport, the Blue Devils were in the loss column once again with a score of 2-11, but senior Kyle Tedford was on a roll with a home run and an RBI. The baseball team was supposed to play tonight, but the game has been postponed until this weekend. The track team is headed off to Geneseo Early Season Invitational last Friday. Jacob Wynn, a sophomore, won the 100-meter and 200-meter dashes, with Jordan Lockett placing third in the 200. Onto the women's side of the meet, Karen Pelletier started the year off strong with fifth-place finish in the pole vault. She also finished seventh in the 100-meter dash. The women's lacrosse team traveled to Plattsburgh last Friday and just came up short with a final score of 10-11, with Emma Cockrell and Audrey Brown leading the scoring column with 2 goals each. Now in Buffalo sports, there was a big news today with the Buffalo Bills trading wide receiver Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans for a second-round draft pick. On to the Buffalo Sabres, who last Friday won against the New Jersey Devils with a final score of 5-2. Tage Thompson was on fire with 4 out of the 5 goals, scoring 2 in the second period and 2 in the third period. JJ Peterka scored just 30 seconds before Thompson's last goal. On Saturday, the Toronto Maple Leafs traveled to KeyBank Center and won 3-0. In the last 2 minutes of the game, fighting continued after refs broke up multiple fights, resulting in game misconducts for everyone on the ice, including the 6 Buffalo players, due to having an empty net. Those players include Rasmus Dahlin, Tage Thompson, Owen Power, Alex Tuck, Jordan Greenway, and JJ Peterka. Heading into last night, the Sabres are back in the win column against the Washington Capitals with a final score of 6-2. The Sabres were very happy after their win as they were celebrating Jeff Skinner's 1,000th game in the NHL. Sadly, he did not get a chance to score, but JJ Peterka ended up getting 2, along with an assist as well. The Sabres play the last of their 5 home game series this Friday against the Philadelphia Flyers at 7 p.m. Now we're going to be joined by Hunter for a weather forecast. What do you have for us, Hunter?
Well, we are really starting to see those April showers as we have had rain all day. Heading into tonight, though, we see the temperatures dropping down to 35 degrees, creating the potential for that rain to turn into some snow. Tomorrow, we'll see it start to cool down even more with a high of 41 degrees and a low of 33. We won't see as much rain Thursday as there will only be a 50% chance of rain. Stay tuned for our weekend weather, as it may just be looking up. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Hunter. And when we return, we have your international headlines. We'll be right back.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
When you think of the local lowdown, what do you think of?
Well, when I think of the local lowdown, it's the live music that we have played in the studio.
It's gotta be the laughs we shared. The memorable moments during the whole thing. Oh my God, so fun.
The local lowdown for me is the people behind the scenes, the amazing team that we have making the show.
Oh, it's gotta be exploring all sorts of genres and music I've never heard before.
Oh, easy. Going out to shows and talking to artists and getting the latest news on what they have planned for the future.
It's about these artists, man. Giving them a platform to showcase what they've worked so hard on and show their music to the community. It's all about supporting the local scene of music to keep it running for years to come. And of course, the band merch. You can't forget about the merch.
In Russia, over 100 people are still missing following a concert hall attack in Moscow. The attack was perpetrated by gunmen with assault rifles who shot civilians and started the venue on fire. This resulted in the roof collapsing while concertgoers were still inside. As a result, 143 people have been confirmed dead and estimates of 100 more are missing. It is currently not clear how many people in the missing toll are in the death toll. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, but President Vladimir Putin has claimed that Ukraine is responsible. Ukraine has vehemently denied these claims, as there is no evidence that points towards the war-torn country as responsible for the attack.
This past Thursday, worshippers were on a bus headed to an Easter conference in South Africa's Limpopo province when the bus crashed and claimed the lives of 45 people. According to the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC, there was one sole survivor, an 8-year-old girl who was airlifted to a hospital with serious injuries. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. The province's transport department said, quote, according to reports, the driver lost control and the bus fell onto a rocky surface some 50 meters under the bridge and caught fire, end quote. There are still ongoing efforts to recover the bodies of the passengers who were killed, as they have only retrieved 12 bodies from the crash site so far.
Saudi Arabia was recently appointed the chair of gender equality in a United Nations decision, which was quickly met with criticism by women's rights advocates. Over the decision, Amnesty International Deputy Director for Advocacy Shireen Tedros called out Saudi Arabia for its notorious mistreatment of women. Tedros said, quote, Saudi Arabia cannot prove its commitment to women's rights merely by securing a leadership role in the commission. It must demonstrate its commitment through concrete actions domestically, end quote. Despite public opposal, Saudi Arabia said it's eager to help out women by working with the CSW as parts of its new vision for the kingdom. The Saudi government website Saudi Vision 2030 says it aims for, quote, a strong, thriving, and stable Saudi Arabia that provides opportunity for all, end quote. And after the break, a look at Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and the Golden Bachelorette. We'll be right back.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
This past Monday, Beyoncé was awarded the Innovator Award from the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Music icon Stevie Wonder presented the award along with a summary of Queen Bee's accomplishments, including being the first African-American woman to headline Coachella. This comes right after the release of her 8th studio album, Cowboy Carter. In her speech, she talks about the bumpy road to making your dreams become a reality and the mental strength it takes. She thanked all the innovators who came before her and her husband and children.
13 days prior to Taylor Swift's release of her 11th album, The Tortured Poets Department, SiriusXM is creating a Taylor Swift-only channel. The name of the channel, Channel 13, Taylor's version. The channel will be available through May 6th, playing 24/7 music from Swift's vast discography up until the release of The Tortured Poets Department, which they will then play repeatedly once it comes out. The channel is only available for subscribers of SiriusXM. To subscribe, you can visit SiriusXM.com.
ABC has just announced another spinoff of The Bachelor, known as The Golden Bachelorette. The spinoff was announced this past Saturday at the Television Critics Association Conference in Pasadena, California. The announcement comes after the airing of The Golden Bachelor last year, which was centered around a 72-year-old grandfather who got his second shot at love on national television. The Golden Bachelorette is now the newest spinoff in the Bachelor series, which has aired more than 60 seasons of television with its spinoffs, following a woman's second chance at love in her golden years. They have yet to announce the star of the show, and additional details of the series and the cast will be announced at a later date. Now we're going to toss it to Hunter one more time for tonight for the end of the weekend weather. How does it look, Hunter?
Moving into our weekend, we'll see the temperatures drop again, with Friday having a high of 39 degrees and a low of 36. Friday also has a 61% chance of snow showers as well. Don't stress though, because as the weekend progresses, the weather will start to look up. Saturday will have a high of 44 with a low of 35 and only a 49% chance of rain and snow showers. Sunday, we will really start to feel that spring weather, as we'll have a high of 50 degrees and a low of 38. That rain and snow will finally start to leave us alone, with only an 8% chance and some partly cloudy skies throughout the day. And don't worry, the weather for the solar eclipse on Monday will be perfect, with a high of 54 degrees and some partly cloudy skies with no chance of rain. That's all I have for your weekend weather. Let's pass it on back to the hosts.
Thank you so much, Hunter. And that does it for News 11. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes crew. We'll be back next week.
As always, thank you to everyone watching at home. Have a great night.